Y'all tell me if you can hear that music. Can you hear this?
Her smile shines as bright as the stars at night.
Give me a one if you can hear this.
As kind as can be. She has the patience of a saint.
Yes, I've been working on it. Thank you.
Straight talker smiling. She's the salt of the earth. Make no mistake, she matters. Catch Miley's story on a live stream. Oh boy, that girl can matter. Go Smiley, she's smiling, alright. She's smiling, make no mistake while she's here. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. Missing posters and stories of heartache and fear. She tells us all of the heartbreaking tears. She can sniff out the guilty from a mile away. If Smiley's on the case, then she's here to stay. She cares about these missing children. She cares deeply about them all. She speaks the truth with integrity. For the truth, she will seek it all. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. Make no mistake while she's here. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your face. Smiley's questions are like a heat-seeking missile. She's going straight for the bullseye. Don't ever believe you can fool her. She's too wise, man.
Oh, thank you.
She values freedom like the 4th of July. She values respect even more. If you want to earn a place at Smiley's table, watch the clock. It takes time for sure. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. Make no mistake why she's here. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you break her trust, you're done for. Trust don't grow back like grass. So don't give Smiley a reason to doubt you. Or the friendship will shatter like glass. She's a damn good woman, that much we know. She puts in the hours to bring the kids home. If your child is missing, you will Smiley on the case. She is always willing and she gives so much grace. She's a Smiley, alright. She's a Smiley. Make no mistake while she's here. She's smiling, alright. She's smiling. If you're guilty, she'll smell out your fear. If you're guilty, you better feel fear.
Thank you all for being here. Oh my God, I didn't know if I could get it working or not. I'm going to be honest with you. That's why I pushed it back a little bit. I'm going to tell you the truth. I did not write that. Of course, you know I didn't write that. I don't know if she wants me to mention her name or not, but she definitely deserves the credit. But she heard my little rant the other day, and I just love her to death. And Miss Annie wrote me that, and she said, I hope you don't get mad at me. And I told her, I said, how in the world do you think that I'm going to get mad at you? I said, that is beautiful. She sent me 3 of them. It was the same thing, but 3 different. She said, you choose it. It's your copyright. It's copywritten. You can burn it up. You can sell it. You can do whatever you want to do. I said, that is the sweetest, thoughtfulest thing anybody's ever done for me. And I said, I will cherish it forever. And I mean that. And it just really made my day when I woke up. So I didn't really know how I was going to get it on here, but I did it. I did it. Yay. I did it. I did that part. And I really love you for that, Miss Annie. And then she wrote me another email back and she said, I forgot to put the words in there. So she sent me the words. And I just thought that was very thoughtful and sweet and beautiful. And I love it. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's very touching. And hello everybody. Kimberly, Dee, Sharon, Sidetrack, Tisney, Nancy, Where's Summer, and Sebastian 1-800-TBI Fine, Cindy Lou, Mag 50, Nyla, Beverly, that bitch Mama Bear. No, you're not really. Brown Eyes Girl, Angela, hello, Astrology, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Nice to see everybody. Chicken Lady, hello, Raymond. Hello, Donna 66, Pebbles, Brown Eyed Girls. And that is beautiful. That was a beautiful song, wasn't it? Hello, Holly S. Hello. Yaya 81. Betsy Mathis. Hello. Belva. Hello. It's good to see everybody. Lisa Thompson. Oh, I hope you're doing well. How's your husband doing? I hope everything's going well. And my Millie there. Maria. My Millie. And Jenny, 1982. Oh, thank you, Betsy. Thank you. Cook G, hello. Kristen, hello. And Janice, sweet Janice, hello. So I'm so glad to see everybody. I hope everybody has been weathering the storms and all these horrible tornadoes and these floods and everything that's been going on. And we're getting the rains today. Terrible. I've been out in the rain today. Ugh. I don't like going out in the rain. PB Green Room, hello. I see you. Hello. Love you. Hello. So I hope everybody's doing well. And many prayers to everybody that needs them. Many prayers. Because I wouldn't wish those floods and tornadoes and everything on anybody. Been in those storms, and from what I'm seeing, they're really bad. People has lost everything, absolutely everything, and there's been deaths and stuff too. But we can replace things. You just can't replace lives. So that's the most important thing. Y'all drop Rich and Ruby. I did see. I don't know if I get a chance. I might get a chance to play some of his today, but I did see this morning where he had been in Memphis with boots on the ground, him and Ruby, and he got caught in the flood. I do too, Holly, don't you? Lord, and he's going to come back tonight, actually. I don't know what time, and show some things, so I'll probably have to catch a replay, but I always catch his replays. But said Ruby got to swim. Yeah, he's a good dude. He really is. But he took Ruby, and they got caught in the floods up there. Didn't realize it was going to be that bad. And bottom line was, went to talk to some, good Maria. Got to talk to some police up there about Sebastian. Long story short, and got some, got some information off record and stuff like that. He feels a lot better about what they did go to Tennessee or Nashville and Hendersonville or whatever and check. And, feels very good about some things. Got some pictures. They searched a lot of places. And I think he had 3 other people with him, total 4 people, I believe. And yeah, he's point blank like me. I like him. I like people like that. and down to earth, really cares from the heart, stuff like that. But he said that the police gave him about 15 or 20, 25 minutes of their time. Thank you for putting your thumbs up, everybody. Nita, everybody coming in. Thank you. So I really enjoyed that. And he was out walking around in the wind and rain, or he was back, but he was up walking around in the wind and rain today. So he's got a lot of stuff to show tonight. So we may or may not get to that. But we do still want absolutely keep Sebastian Rogers, focus and, know that he is still missing from Sumner County, Tennessee. And there is a $447,000 total reward, $50,000, because I guess you have to break it up for some people, not knock on your head. $50,000 is from the FBI, $397,000 is from, Dog the Bounty Hunter and people who have donated. And Sebastian was 15 when he went missing from his Hendersonville home when he was with his mother, Katie Proudfoot, and allegedly by herself in her home with Sebastian. Hey, Car Guy, and let's see who else we got. Car Guy, and I thought I seen Guidance come in, and anybody, Angela, anybody that I missed, hello. Sebastian is now 16, male, white, brown hair, brown eyes, height 5'5". He weighed 120 when he went missing, about that. And he was last seen again February 25th, 2024 at his Stafford Court home in Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee. He has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. And if you have any information concerning his whereabouts, please contact Sumner County Sheriff's Office at 615-451-3838 or the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. You can also call 1-833-TELL-DOG or any FBI agent in your area. And if you think you see him, please don't hesitate to call 911. And we will keep his name out there. That Rich and Ruby, Lisa Thompson, he's the one that has his dog with him all the time. That's Ruby. And you're not stupid, honey. You're not stupid. You just been busy, girl. And hey, Nancy. Hello. But I was then reading over some things, and this case happened, and it is horrible. There is some trigger warnings and stuff I want you to know. It was prosecuted last year, I believe, in Texas. But hey, Nita, thank you for the super sticker. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm trying with this bell to be quiet. And Debbie, welcome, Debbie W. But I wanted to tell you, how can, people say, y'all are going down the wrong track and you this and you that. Okay, it is what it is. But people still don't believe. They didn't believe way back when Susan Smith. They don't believe when a mother can do this, and they don't believe mothers can do that. And, yada, 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 yada. I've heard it all. Well, I'm fixing to show y'all something. Yeah, okay. I am so sick and tired of y'all saying or thinking, and not necessarily y'all in here. It is hard to believe mothers cannot do something to their children or put their man first, but they do, and they do it every single day. Hello, welcome, very welcome, everybody. But they do it, and we're fixing to see another one right here, unfortunately. And this one, though, let me tell you, every single day, astrology. Let me tell you something. If you haven't heard of this, I didn't hear about it until I was reading it today. You probably did. I don't know. But if you have not heard it, beware. Take heed. This is horrible. And there's some things in here that I just cannot wrap my mind around, like the neighbors, like the apartment building. Can y'all imagine? Some of you probably do live in apartments. I mean, there's been times in my life that I lived in apartments, especially if you're on a second floor. I cannot wrap my mind around what I'm fixing to show y'all. I just can't. At this point, I know who's in jail right now and who's in prison because they did get time, or they did get time. At this point, I think so many people failed, but I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the last couple of hours. Where was the apartments in all this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So really, let's not just go on and on about this, because I really wanted to show y'all this. I mean, I got some reading and stuff I can do, but let's just not drag this out, okay? Oh, Lordy, honey. Nothing never ceases to amaze me. All right. Let me get over this.
Download the app today.
ABC 13's Brooke Taylor joins us now, and you were on scene shortly after investigators arrived, so you could understand why they are still haunted.
Eric, I spoke with the lead investigator of this case, and he told me this is the worst case he's seen in 20 years that he's worked with the sheriff's office. Now, I remember just seeing a bunch of people gathered behind that crime scene that night. Now, we knew children were involved, but none of us could have ever imagined the neglect and the torture that these boys had to live through. 3 boys found abandoned, afraid, hungry, and injured from beatings, living with their 8-year-old brother's skeletal remains in a bedroom.
And I'm going on law enforcement 10 years now, and I think it's probably the worst scene that I've ever seen.
The little boy's corpse rotting away for an entire year before officers made the discovery on October 24th.
Being a father myself, it's very difficult that kids can be treated like this.
It was a very distinct smell. There was no furniture, there was no lights, there was no electricity. There were roaches everywhere. These children had no beds to sleep on. You know, they barely had something to cover up with.
The brothers told investigators Kendrick Lee was beaten to death by their mother, Gloria Williams' boyfriend, Brian Coulter. In court, we learned one of the brothers was inside the room while Coulter allegedly beat Kendrick Lee, kicking and punching him repeatedly.
It was disturbing, you know, the position that the child was last in and how long the child had been there.
The boys told investigators their mother moved out with her boyfriend, leaving them to fend for themselves. Investigators say Williams and Coulter were living in a separate apartment 25 minutes away. They'd go back every few weeks to drop off some food, but the boys told investigators that during those trips, Coulter would come and beat them.
They lived in an apartment building.
I wish I would have maybe pushed myself a little bit more.
Neighbors I spoke to back in October told me the big brother would leave the apartment occasionally to ask them for food, but he wouldn't say much. Neighbors say they didn't know they were also feeding 2 other boys trapped inside the apartment.
They saw what happened to their brother, and they knew that if they went outside, something bad was going to happen to them.
Investigators say when the boys saw officers, they were relieved, but visibly scared.
They still had that fear in their eyes because they didn't know what was coming next.
Deputy Craig, who interviewed them, tells me the boys hugged him. Help had finally come.
It's heart-wrenching, you know, and, just you hug them back, you have a job to do. You don't want to let them go.
Williams and Coulter were arrested outside of a library 2 days after the boys were found. ABC 13 getting surveillance of the two inside, where sources tell us they were looking up news articles of themselves.
But listen, there's a
Coulter has
reason
been
I want you
charged
to hear
with
this.
capital murder. Williams is charged with tampering with evidence and injury to a child. Investigators want to know how the alleged abuse went unnoticed for so long.
Oh, no.
Deputy Craig blames COVID-19 because students were virtual.
Because nobody was looking for it. Nobody was looking for that child that had a bruise on him the next day at school, the kid that had a busted lip.
Alief ISD told us the district filed truancy papers against the mother after the children stopped going to school. They even visited the home in September of 2020, but got no answer and never followed up.
How easy is it to, oh, my kid's going to be homeschooled, and that's where it stays, because you just don't have the manpower to follow up on everything.
The Texas Department of Family and Protective Services says the family was in the state system for years. Reports of abuse date back to 2015. CPS tells me the brothers are together now in foster care, where they have access to therapy and counseling. A jury has indicted both Williams and Coulter. Now the case goes to trial, and these investigators wait.
Justice for the children, for Kendrick.
At the end of the day, we all just want justice.
I'm Brooke Taylor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right, can somebody please explain to me, that's an apartment building though. Most of the time they have somebody there showing apartments. I don't get it. How in the world did this happen? I don't understand. A whole year? And why didn't somebody report the smell? People don't want to get involved. People don't want to get involved. And these parents, and that's on you. That's crazy. And they said there's roaches everywhere. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. I know somebody that, absolutely. And I know somebody right now that lives in apartments, and they come in and spray all the time. They do inspections within the time you're there at least one time. This makes no sense. And noise complaints. You're going to tell me kids are going to be quiet? Of course, they had no TV, of course that. But what do? Just sit there all day and all night? I'm not understanding this. I'm really not understanding this. They were failed by everybody. All right, I got another one. Hold on. I don't know if this is the same one. Let me see. I got 3 up here. Let's make sure. This might be the same one. Hold on.
And that sofa she liked. And when it came time to buy a home of his own, Credit Karma helped him take things to the next level. Just in time. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on. Download the app today.
Exactly, Lori.
ABC 13's Brooke Taylor joins us now, and you were on scene shortly after investigators arrived, so you can understand why they are still haunted.
Eric, I spoke with the lead investigator of this case, and he told me this is the worst case he's seen in 20 years.
Yeah, this is the same one. Hold on, let me get the other one. Okay, hold on. Hold on. So we can get this one out of the way. Hold on. Come on.
If you feel held back by the weight
now,
of
the judge, they
didn't
get a jury, or he
we
didn't.
can give you the tools
Boyfriend
to help you
didn't.
break free from what's on
The judge.
Credit Karma gives you personalized guidance to improve your credit, savings, taxes, and more. So you can find your way to money.
The judge.
Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
You're not going to see it here.
Breaking news in the trial for the man accused of killing an 8-year-old boy.
A judge found Brian Coulter guilty of capital murder for the death of Kendrick Lee. Court documents show the child was beaten to death and his body was found decomposing right in the apartment where his siblings were living back in October of 2021. So here's what attorneys for the defense and prosecution said today in court.
Over the weekend, I was cutting through our Crimes Against Children division, and I was struck because there's a poster I hadn't noticed there before. It says, "Every child deserves to grow up with love and care." And it really struck me in that moment that not only did Kendrick Lee not have the love and care he needed, but he didn't even have the opportunity to grow up. He didn't have the opportunity to grow up because of this man and his actions. The moment that Brian Coulter entered into his life, that was putting Kendrick Lee on a collision course for his own death.
With regards to striking the complainant with or against a blunt object, I don't believe there's any testimonies that would show or prove any of that, or that he even threw Kendrick with his hand. I don't believe there was any testimony or evidence to show that he choked the complainant by some unknown means. Neither of the 3 children, especially the 2 that indicate they were in the room when they observed Mr. Coulter assaulting Kendrick, testified that they observed him choking the complainant in any way or shape or form.
Courtney Fisher has been monitoring the trial every step of the way, certainly today as well. Joining us live from the courthouse in downtown Houston, Courtney, this was a verdict that came back about 20 minutes after everything concluded in the courtroom.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. I want to stress that. It only took the judge 20 minutes or so to decide that Brian Coulter was guilty of killing 8-year-old Kendrick Lee. I've never seen a verdict come back that quickly, frankly. And remember, there was no jury, so it was the judge who decided he was guilty. She said after listening to 3 long days of testimony, it was clear in her mind the 34-year-old man killed his girlfriend's son. You're about to hear from Judge Kelly Johnson as she addressed Coulter directly. And I have to tell you, it was a very powerful moment in court. I want you to watch Brian Coulter as he sat there in his yellow jumpsuit, no reaction at all when she said this.
I've seen everything. I thought I'd heard everything. I actually thought I'd gotten pretty good at compartmentalizing things that occur up here when I go home to my own family and my own life. But that stopped with this case. This is probably one of the most horrific set of facts that I've ever had to witness, to listen to, and to imagine. And especially as the fact finder on a capital murder, when I had to painstakingly listen, take notes, as both sides deserve, to be fair, and to go over every single one of those exhibits, along with listen to your voice, to Gloria Williams' voice, and to Jordan's voice. And sir, those children have haunted me this last week.
And so Coulter will spend the rest of his life in prison, guilty of capital murder. Guys, he has no parole. The judge also said this to him. She said, when you're in prison, I hope the boys, meaning the surviving brothers who haunted me, will haunt your mind for the rest of your life. I want to mention his attorneys, by the way, declined to talk to us after the verdict, but we already know they have filed an appeal. That is usually the process of how it happened. Coming up at 6, guys, you're going to hear from those 2 prosecutors who now for the first time were able to speak about the case after getting that guilty verdict. We'll send it back to you.
Courtney, I know we all felt the same way as the judge did in terms of relaying having to take in this case. What for you was the key point that prosecutors made to secure the capital murder verdict?
Yeah, you know, Jonathan, of course, you couldn't escape the testimony of those 3 brothers. It was so powerful and difficult to listen to them on the stand recount being abused by Brian Coulter. The 2 younger ones said that they actually saw Coulter kill Kendrick Lee, beat him to death with, I think, what was the most poignant thing about this case, a Spider-Man figurine. I mean, reminding you that these are just children and the abuse they suffered, now possibly getting justice, guys.
Yeah, Courtney, this is definitely one of those cases that really, really does just hit you in a different way. I know we saw video of Coulter and he always looks so stoic. You were in the courtroom. At any point in time, did his demeanor change?
Not at all, guys. He sat there the entire time. Remember, testimony 4 days we saw him last week, and of course today. No reaction from him at any time. At one point, his attorney asked him if he wanted to testify. We reported on this earlier. That was the only time I actually heard his voice. He said simply no. That was it. No reaction. And obviously, when listening to what the judge had to say, it was pretty shocking. He had no reaction then as well.
Closure, fortunately, at least a measure of it for everyone involved. Courtney Fisher reporting. Courtney, thanks so much.
I mean, and so the mother, okay, so I couldn't find a video on the mother, but the mother, okay, are y'all ready for this one? Hold your horses. The mother, she was only sentenced to 50 years for leaving her kids in dire conditions as son's body decomposed. She only got 50 years. And remember, don't forget, they went over there every couple of weeks to drop off food. Oh, how nice for her. How nice for her, right? So, the judge on Tuesday sentenced a woman to 50 years in prison for forcing 3 of her children to live with the decomposing body of their dead 8-year-old brother for more than a year in a sold, roach-infested Houston area apartment. Gloria Williams, 38, so she was 38. She knew exactly what she was doing and not doing. Hey, Hobo's Life and everybody coming in. Welcome, welcome. She did express deep regret before being sentenced. I bet she did for herself. What y'all think? The Houston Chronicle reported Williams' sentence came after she had pleaded guilty in October to 2 counts of injury to a child for abuse that involved an 8-year-old Kendrick Lee, who was beaten to death by her boyfriend and another child, the newspaper reported. Oh my God. They're going to try to blame the child, I guess, because he was in the room. What? Anyway, when authorities discovered the boy's body in October 20 of 21, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez said many officers indicated it was the most disturbing scene they had worked in their careers, and that it seemed too horrific to be real. Lee's 3 abandoned brothers had been living alone for months and were thin, malnourished, and hungry when authorities found them in an unfurnished Harris County apartment that was infested with flies and roaches and had soiled carpet. Authorities said the children had waited for Williams to call authorities to report that their brother had been beaten to death by her boyfriend, Brian Coulter. Investigators say the mother never made that call, and the oldest surviving sibling, then a 15-year-old, finally overcame his fear and called authorities. The 2 other siblings were 7 and 10 years old when they were found by authorities. You know, I guess they were in shock and traumatized. Can you imagine? Williams were sentenced to the following: a nearly 2-day court hearing that focused on the extent of her role in Lee's death. Her defense attorney blamed Coulter for most of the abuse. For most, keyword, most. My God. Coulter was sentenced in April to life in prison without parole for Lee's death. The sheriff's office had previously said Coulter had consistently hit the younger children and had fatally beaten Lee sometime around Thanksgiving in 2020. A few months after the fatal beating, Williams and Coulter moved out and went to live at another apartment around 25 minutes away, leaving the 3 surviving children to fend for themselves as their brother's body slowly decomposed. Williams relinquished the parental rights over her children after her arrest. The 2 children's siblings have been adopted, while the eldest is with a foster family, the newspaper reported. I thought it just said they were all together, so I don't know. That's what I'm reading here. I don't know. In that one article, it said or the one news thing, it said they were all together. God, that's sad. So that's what happens when you put your man before your children. They do it every single day, every damn day, every day. Let's get on my nerves. I wonder if the kids can press charges and sue her for pain and suffering mental health they had to endure because of the biological mother. You know what? I would say it wouldn't do any good because of where she's at, but since she's getting 50 years and she'll probably get out if somebody don't wipe her up on that floor. I don't know if it would be worth it or not to their mental health, but I would put it where she'd never see a dime. You know, I don't care if it was 10 cents out on these streets if she ever got out. Yeah, I would do a civil lawsuit. I'd take everything she had or ever gonna get. Yeah, it might, Millie. These kids, all of them will suffer till the day they die. All of them. All of them. Let's see. Where did put this? And I'm glad that the judge said that to him, too, that she hopes that they haunt him the way that she's been haunted that week. I'm glad that judge said that. There's something in here I wanted to read to y'all. Let's see if I can find it again without reading this whole thing. Because I thought it was interesting and very important to the case we're doing. Let me just read this part right here. The brothers, ages 15, 10, and 7, told investigators little 8-year-old Kendrick Lee was beaten to death by their mother's boyfriend. Okay, we know that November 2020. The main thing that got me was the position of the child that the child died in, Castro said. Without going into too much positioning, I would say laying down in a certain position. And he said we had to be careful because of the integrity of the case, which that's over now. Okay, listen to this. Listen to me. 2 of the boys have autism, but investigators say they are extremely aware and verbal. In court, that was revealed. One of the brothers was inside the room while Coulter allegedly beat Kendrick to death, kicking and punching him repeatedly. Deputy John Craig, also with the Harris County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit, is the lead investigator. Being a father myself, it's difficult. Children can be treated like this, that they are put in such a humiliating circumstance. They have to fend for themselves, Craig said. There is no one to help them if someone gets hurt. It's heartbreaking. Someone can do this to a child. The child is the most innocent victim. Investigators said Boys told them their mother, Gloria Williams, moved out with her boyfriend and abandoned them. Later, investigators found the couple was living in a separate apartment 25 minutes away. The boys say Williams and Coulter would go back every few weeks and drop off some food, but that during those trips, Coulter would come back and beat them and then leave. It's like he had to take his anger out on them every time. Okay. The injuries were so bad and left untreated that one of the boys needed to have surgery on his jaw. You could tell he had some injuries to his face, Castro said. The boys were forbidden for leaving their apartment. And then the neighbors, told that to the news station. The oldest brother would leave the apartment occasionally to ask them for food, but neighbors said he would not say much and that they had no idea that food was also feeding two other boys inside the apartment. Okay, I have a problem with that because he was still a minor, and did they not understand he was there by himself and never see no parents or anything? That makes no sense to me. On top of the apartments, the children should have a civil suit even as they get older. Some attorney should be able to help them with the apartments, somehow, some way. I don't know, but this is horrific. Maybe they already are. I don't know. These kids have a long way to go, and they need some kind of financial stability. Why? I don't understand that the apartment, the maintenance man, the whoever's did not know about this. It's just beyond me. Investigators said when the boys saw them, they were relieved. They had the fear in their eyes. They didn't know what was coming next, Craig said. They're happy. They want to talk to you and hug you and express how glad they are you're here. But you still see it in their eyes. They have fear. Craig, who interviewed the boys, said they did, in fact, hug him. It's heart-wrenching. You hug them back, Craig said. You have a job to do, but you don't want to let them go. Williams and Coulter were arrested outside the library 2 days. Okay, this is what I want to read y'all that it didn't say a while ago. This is very important, and I want y'all to listen because this could fall over, okay? This is something we all been wondering, okay? Yeah, Betsy, what'd you say? That's when the nosy neighbor would come out on me. Right, and isn't it funny how everybody's so damn nosy until shit like this happens? Isn't that funny? They would be willing to let kids die and kids starve to death. And then they want to sit in there on their freaking asses and be like, well, I would have called, but I didn't know. I mean, we smelled the smell, but come on now, get a damn grip. Anyway. All right, y'all listen to this. Yeah, that's when you put blinders on. They make me sick. Like bullshit. And they got kids themselves. Come on, man. All right, I need y'all to listen to this because especially, okay, just listen. Williams and Coulter was arrested outside of the library 2 days after the boys were found. Because this is going to get into explain why they didn't arrest them right then. Okay. And a lot of people is wondering that in Sebastian's case. Why can't they be arrested? Why don't this? Why? Okay. This may apply and it may not, but I still want y'all to listen and understand how the police works. Okay. Please. They arrested them. They waited 2 days after they found the body and found the children. I want y'all to listen to why the police didn't arrest them right away. They had everything, okay, in this case. So let's listen. 2 days after the boys were found, ABC obtained surveillance footage from inside the library moments before the arrest, where sources said they were looking up news articles on theirself. At the time, the sheriff's office received criticism for not making an arrest that day, and even received phone calls from outraged community members. Okay, now here we go. We don't rush in and we put it all together, Craig said. We make sure everything is in line. At that point, once we got our evidence, hear back from medical examiner, interviews, we put it all together, and then a warrant is issued through the district attorney's office. Then we give the warrant to our warrants unit, and they go pick them up. Makes sense to me. Coulter has been charged with capital murder. Williams has been charged with injury to a child by omission, and tampering with evidence, a corpse. Investigators want to know how the alleged abuse went unnoticed for so long, and Craig blames COVID-19 because students were virtual. The children had no classroom to go to and no teacher to see what was happening. No one was looking at that child that had bruises the next day for school, or the kid with the busted lip, Craig said. A spokesperson for Alief ISD told ABC 13 that the district filed truancy papers against the mother after the children stopped going to school. They even visited the home in September of 2020, but there was no answer or follow-up. How easy is it to say my kids are going to get homeschooled, and that's where it stays because you don't have the manpower to follow up every day, Craig said. The Texas Department of Family and Protective Services said the family was in the state system for years. This is where CPS dropped the ball again, y'all. They were in the system for years. Since 2015, by the way. Neighbors told ABC they felt something was off. Okay, well, if you feel something's off and you see something, say something then. We can't say this enough. Can't say this enough. Can't say this enough. As a community, and he's saying it too, okay, as a community, if you see something and it looks awkward, say something. That's the biggest takeaway from all this. If you feel something is wrong, say something. The boys were neglected and failed by the system that was set up to protect them. In an update, CPS said the brothers remain together in foster care. They have access to therapy and counseling. A jury indicted both Williams and Coulter, who are currently behind bars. Now the case goes to trial. Okay, but the judge did the mom, not the boyfriend. The judge did the boyfriend, not the mom. So Castro said it makes you want to do well because we speak for the victim and makes you want to get to the bottom of it. At the end, in my opinion, is justice for children, for Kendrick, and the children who have been abused, who are still with us, Craig said. I just want justice to prevail. Yeah, Lori, remember, and never lies. And if you feel something in your gut, you need to listen to it. The worst that can happen is, and if you want to ask somebody something, the worst they can do is say no. Or if you feel something is not right, it could possibly save your life or somebody else's. Don't, ask, have the police go over and check it out, if something's not right. Nobody's going to bite you, can't bite you through the phone, do it anonymous. People should have been calling their apartment complexes and saying they smelled smells and had somebody go in and check. that had a key and let them call the police. That was their job. You know, that's how the neighbors could have been involved without being involved, honestly. Hey, God's child. Oh, Lori, wow. Thank God. Thank God. I mean, this is the craziest thing ever. And a lot of times people do stuff right under your nose. Right under your nose. I'm so thankful for that, Lori. So thankful. And look at Ted Bundy, honey. Looking at him. Who would ever think he was a serial killer? Who? Anybody in here? Even some people you trust. That's right. That's right. It's not just children. I had to call elder abuse. Holiness once about a neighbor in LA. Right, exactly. Exactly. Yep, God is good all the time and is right on time. Absolutely. Yeah, he was good looking and a smooth talker, and I sure would have never expected him. If I was to sing him out, you don't know who's who anymore. Can't trust anybody. Yeah, something's wrong when you have multiple CPS reports, especially if it's not from the same person, you know, that somebody is, you know, trying to do some crazy bullcrap or whatever, falsify, you know, just being, you know, like that or whatever. But, yeah. When you have several, yeah, something's wrong, and they need to keep a closer eye, and they just need to make changes. There's too much. There's something wrong. Something's wrong. They need to do more thorough. I believe so too, Lori. I can't speak. I'm gonna drink this water. My mouth is dry. But yeah, yeah. So I just, you know, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, let me see if it says anything here on the book. That's what I wanted y'all to see about the police and how they did that. But the mother absolutely did plead guilty. And it says she showed a little remorse. But like I said, the only remorse I'm sure she showed is for herself. You know, kind of like some other people, they can show tears when they want. Raymond says Seth is working on the Sebastian law. God bless him. Oh, hopefully that will get passed. He is, you know, bless him. He has set his mind to do something, and I believe seriously he will do what it takes to change laws and to get things done in Sebastian's case and to do what it takes to find his child. That's what I believe, in my opinion. And I believe if anything gets done in Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' case, it's going to be because of his father, Seth Rogers. That is just my opinion and my opinion only. I agree, Betsy. She should get the same sentence. She left them children there. And the one that died at her boyfriend's hand, she didn't have a problem with it, let alone any accident that could have occurred in the 24/7 in a year that the others were there could have happened, that they could have been unalived themselves. She didn't give a damn, you know. So she washed her hands of them 3 children for her boyfriend, period. Went out, got her another apartment, and went on about her merry business. And let me tell you what she did. I'm going to tell you what she did. She probably drew a check on them children that had autism and paid that rent at that apartment and went on and got her other place, if you ask me, and was collecting probably food stamps on all of them. That's just my opinion. And living a very good life. Something's got to be done. Something has to be done. So I wanted to bring this to you and let you know, yeah, Miss Magoo, how could any mother, how, why? I understand some people are not cut out to be parents. Then simply don't spread your legs and have no kids. I'm sorry. There's also places you can drop your babies. You know, it's a safe haven. There's many, many people that want to adopt children that can't have them, that would give anything for a child. But the first person that comes by and gives you a little bit of attention, you're ready to off one of your children, no matter if they're 2 weeks old, 10 years old, or 15 years old. It doesn't matter to you. Your children can be thrown in the garbage. And you think you're going to live this bright, merry, beautiful life and you can get away with this perfect crime. Well, you might. You might even get away with it until the day you take your last breath. But you won't get away with it forever. It's a shame. And I don't like how they keep blaming everything on autism, period. I'll come back and talk about Sebastian I don't know if it'll be tonight or not. I know other people's got things to talk about, and I seen one Betty's got. I actually shared that one. I did hear a couple of things, of rumors in the streets about that. And then I really want to watch that one. I'm kind of glad. I guess Chris has got some of that out of his own mouth. Lord have mercy. Makes you wonder. So I am going to watch that tonight. I don't know, man. I don't know. I did say something to that effect, not out loud, but to actually one of my mods, if she remembers that, way back. Because what was that police officer's name? I believe that's what he did to his wife, that put her in that barrel. But and I'm sorry if anybody's listening. I just said, I wonder if that way back, I said, I wonder if that's something that happened. Or I said I don't know if I said I wonder if it's something that happened. I said that's what could have happened, in my opinion. But Chris did say that. I mean, I can't think of that police officer's name did that to his wife. But I tell you one thing. Whoever knows where Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is, you need to start talking. You need to start stepping up, and you need to start speaking. You already know what I think, but it is just my opinion. But where's your child, man? Where's your child? If anybody has any inkling, ideas, or anything about where Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is, don't hold it. Don't hold any secrets for anybody, whether it's in your family or it's not, or whether it's a neighbor or whether it's a friend. Don't hold no more in. Let it out. Tell the cops, where is Sebastian? He needs to be found. This mess needs to be over. And again, there's a total $447,000 reward. Brown hair, brown eyes, 5'5", 120 pounds. He's now 16. He was last seen in his home, allegedly, with his mother, Katie Proudfoot. The last real time he was seen on video camera was at the Texas Roadhouse in Hendersonville, Tennessee, with his mother. Everything leads back to his mother, Katie Proudfoot. So, Katie, where is your son, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? Get this over with, ma'am. They're going to throw you to the wolves. You ain't nobody special. Trust and believe that. Y'all have a great night. Talk to y'all later. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Drew Peterson. That's right. Thank you. Y'all have a great night. Bye.